Good morning. Welcome to the weekend. I'm Alicia Menendez alongside Simone Sanders Townsend. Michael is off. We begin with that breaking news in the Middle East. Just moments ago, Hezbollah, the Iran-backed militant group based in Lebanon, confirmed that its leader has been killed. The news first broke from the Israeli military, which said it targeted Hassan Nasrallah in a series of airstrikes in southern Beirut on Friday. Overnight, Hezbollah launched a barrage of rockets across the border towards Israel, and the Israeli military continued intensive strikes across southern Lebanon.
Joining us now from Beirut is NBC News foreign correspondent Matt Bradley. Matt, a lot of new information to cover this morning. Can you please give us the latest?
Yeah, well, I should tell for our audience, first of all, the reason why I'm wearing body armor is just out of an abundance of caution. We've been hearing ever since immediately after the announcement by Hezbollah that they had confirmed Israel's announcement earlier, several hours ago, that their leader, Hassan Nasrallah, had been killed. We've been hearing a succession of bursts of gunfire from right behind me from that neighborhood and possibly on the beach here, also called the Corniche here in Beirut, gunfire. And this could either be celebratory or in mourning. Also, right behind me is that neighborhood of Dahia and Haret Hareik and the neighborhood of Roberi. These are all Hezbollah strongholds, Shiite Muslim majority neighborhoods of Beirut, just outside of the city, kind of like suburbs in the southern part of the city. And this is where Israel had targeted in that enormous succession of blasts, most of them bunker buster bombs, it sounds like, that struck underneath the ground and killed Hassan Nasrallah, and it sounds like several of his top deputies. We're hearing, of course, that the casualty numbers, which is now only about 5 or 6, is likely to increase. But the fact is that Israel, it doesn't seem like they're finished yet. We also saw another column of smoke just a few minutes ago rising out of that neighborhood. Israel has said that they are going to continue to pummel Hezbollah targets all across the country. And indeed, here in the capital of Beirut, it looks as though the killing of Hezbollah's leader hasn't satisfied the Israelis. They want to punish and push back Hezbollah to prevent them from continuing their attacks on northern Israel. Now, this is a moment that it's hard to describe. This was a giant figure, Hassan Nasrallah, not just here in Lebanon, where he led the most powerful political and military force in the country. He also led the most potent opposition to Israel in the entire Middle East, the biggest beneficiary of Iranian largesse, the leader of the so-called Axis of Resistance of Iranian-allied militant groups. And he really cut a profile throughout the entire world that was not unlike, say, a Che Guevara. He was more of the lodestar for all of these different groups, leftist organizations, anti-colonial groups, groups who were anti-Western throughout the entire world. You could see his face in places like Latin America among left-wing political parties. This is a man whose stature rose well beyond this tiny country of Lebanon, and his death is going to send shockwaves not just throughout the Middle East, but throughout the entire world. It's also going to set off a succession, well, not necessarily crisis, but a succession question within Hezbollah. Who is going to take the reins of this organization, particularly now, after so many of its top leaders have been killed in the last week of Israeli airstrikes and in the week before that really unusual attack that Israel used, bombing pagers and walkie-talkies that named thousands of the group's commandos. Literally, Israel has sheared the trigger fingers off of the fighters who they would be facing off against if and when they decide to launch a ground invasion. Now, that question of an Israeli ground invasion is still very much an open one because, like I said, it doesn't sound as though Israel is totally satisfied with the killing of Hassan Nasrallah. They're still continuing to attack targets with airstrikes throughout Lebanon, and they had, just a couple of days ago, really implied that they were about to launch a ground invasion into southern Lebanon. What that would look like, where it would go, how strong it would be, these are all open questions, and whether or not they're even going to continue to do it, we don't know. Also, we don't know Hezbollah's reaction, whether this group, this formidable force, is going to sit back and lick its wounds for a moment at least, whether this could push them to some sort of negotiations with Israel, to come to some sort of peace deal, the kind that was offered up by many different Western and Arab powers in just the past couple of days. That could happen. Especially since this group has now been effectively decapitated and many of its military capabilities have been set back. But the fact is, we know that Hezbollah has a lot of very powerful weapons that they've kept in reserve so far. Tactical missiles that could be used to strike even deeper into Israel. The Israelis have, with great effect, swatted down some of those most sophisticated weapons using their air defense systems. And if they were to try to deploy them now, the Israelis would not only be able to shoot them down, but they might be able to locate exactly where they're located and strike against them as well. But these are a lot of open questions because just in the last hour, we've gotten confirmation from Hezbollah that Hassan Nasrallah has been killed. We don't know where this is going to head, but this is an incredibly, it's hard to overstate, an incredibly volatile moment for this very volatile region. Guys.
Matt, before we let you go, you just spoke to the escalating tensions. This is the latest escalation in the region. What does this mean for that 21-day ceasefire deal that the United States and other allies had put on the table? This was a ceasefire deal calling for 21 days of no fighting along the Israel-Lebanon border. And this would potentially allow residents who have been displaced, who live along that border in Israel, to return to the area. Does this mean that this is essentially off the table for now?
Well, we don't really know. The fact of the matter is that it was the Israelis who torpedoed that offer. Benjamin Netanyahu had kind of agreed to it, it sounds like, according to reports, right when it was offered. And then it was the following morning that his right-wing political allies, who basically make up his very right-wing cabinet, said that they would withdraw their support for the cabinet, withdraw their participation, and all but collapse the entire government if he were to accede to that deal. So now it's still the Israelis who are holding out. It's still the Israelis who will determine the fate of that 21-day ceasefire. So we still have to hear from them. The killing of Hassan Nasrallah, it sounds as though Hezbollah might have actually been on board even before this happened. That would have been an opportunity for them, a moment for them to stop and possibly even rearm. Now that opportunity could be lost because the Israelis said that they weren't going to accede to some sort of 21-day ceasefire deal, just as it was the Israelis who have been blocking a deal in the Gaza Strip for much of the past several weeks. So what we have from here on out, it's hard to see if the Israelis are going to decide that they're not going to be attacking. They are continuing to attack, even though they've gotten the main prize, Hassan Nasrallah, who for more than 30 years has led their primary antagonist in the Middle East. Guys.
MSNBC's Matt Bradley, live in Beirut. Thank you very much.